'cause I'm a fool for your love.
Okay guys, welcome to another client tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you this like summery bronzy client glam. So let's get started. I'm going to be underlining the brow with, I believe this was the Plouise Base. I don't remember the exact shade, but yeah, it was the Plouise Base, and I just used that little Anastasia concealer brush. That brush is amazing. It is a little pricey just for like a simple concealer brush, but it's super flat and thin, so it's really easy to be super precise with it. So yeah, I'm just underlining the brows. That way when I go to fill them in, they have already like a shape mapped out to them, and it's just a little bit easier to fill them in once the under part of the brow is underlined. And then I'm going to apply the rest of the primer all over the lid. I'm just blending that primer out throughout the whole lid and inner and outer corner. And then I'm going to be going in with Cozzette Beauty eyeshadows. I've mentioned Cozzette Beauty eyeshadows before on my channel. They are the like big square shadows that they sell, and I just have a bunch of their individual matte shades and shimmer shades. I love them so much. I use them on like pretty much every client, and I just have a palette that I made myself, like I said, with a bunch of the individual shades. So I was just using some browns to start off her crease. I also did end up going in with the Warrior palette by Juvias for like 2 of the shades as well. But yeah, I'm just starting off with a light brown in the crease with a fluffy brush and just buffing that all over. And then I took a matte shadow and I'm just highlighting the brow bone with that, also making sure that it blends into the crease shade. You never want to have that look like choppy. So once I have that, I'm going to go in with the brows. I don't know why I like hopped around like that, but sometimes I do. So I went in with the Benefit Cosmetics Kabrow. I believe it's in shade 4, which seemed to be a really nice shade for her. And by the way, this model is also a fellow makeup artist. I'll leave her Instagram down below. She has a bridal makeup and hair company, and she helps me out in some of my weddings. So yeah, but yeah, I'm just filling in her brows, and I'm not going super crazy because like I said before, we already underlined the brows, so I feel like it already gave her a nice shape. So I'm just following that shape and not trying to box off her brows too much. I want to keep them pretty natural. After I'm done filling them in, I just took a little bit of the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Stick Foundation, and I'm just using that to clean up the top of her brow. Taking the orange from the Warriors palette by Juvias, I'm just applying that into the outer corner and crease. I just kind of wanted to warm up that crease color a little bit. Yeah, because I don't know, I just wanted it to be a little bit more warm and on the orange side than neutral. So I just decided to layer that on top of the other shade that I applied in the crease. Now taking a deeper brown, I think I switched back to the Cozzette Beauty shadows at this point, and I'm just focusing that on the outer corner just to deepen up the eyeshadow look a little bit. Then I'm going to go in with a NYX glitter glue, and I'm just going to apply an even layer of that all over the lid, and that's going to prep the eye for the shadow that I'm going to be using. I use one of these single shadows, again from Cozzette Beauty. The shimmers from this line are very, very pigmented and very shimmery. They remind me more of like a pressed pigment than anything. So I just applied this gold shade all over the lid, and then I'm going to end up putting something else on top of it as well. So you could totally keep this look with just that gold shadow, but I decided I wanted to make it a little bit more of a bronzy tone than gold, so I just added the J. LaRue Cosmetics Brown Sugar Sass pressed pigment or loose pigment on top, just again to give it a little bit more of that like bronzy brown tone. And then I took the CoverGirl liquid liner, the Get In Line matte liquid liner, and I just did a very, very tiny line across the eye, and then I smudged that out with the dark brown shadow. Okay, to prep her skin for foundation, I'm going to be going in with the Rimmel Stay Matte Primer. It's basically like a lotion primer, like it doesn't feel like a silicone primer or anything like that, but since she gets very oily, I decided to use that primer. I use that primer on myself as well, and I'm very oily and I feel like it works, so I always keep it in my kit because it's only like $4.99 I think, and it honestly really does work because it's not very heavy. I feel like it just, I don't know, it just sits underneath makeup very well, and it does help control the oils. So I use that, and then I matched her to, I think it was shade 8 in the Face Atelier Ultra Pro Foundation. As you can see, it's a very nice shade for her. Her forehead is a little bit darker than the rest of her face, which is normal. Most people's forehead is darker because that's like the first thing that hits the sun. So I do end up like doing some cream contouring just to like even out the face and make sure everything matches. So I just apply that with a flat brush. This is my Makeup Forever paddle like foundation brush. I love that brush because it's super stiff and it just really presses product into the face. And then I went in with my e.l.f. Beauty Sponge, which is another one of my favorites, and I just push it into the skin. Don't forget to get the neck. You never want that to be a different color. But then I decided to go in with a little bit of the MAC. I use like one of the MAC concealer palettes just to do a little bit of color correcting so none of the darkness on her eyes shines through the concealer. I've been pretty much color correcting like all my clients lately, and I do feel like it does make a big difference in the makeup. But anyways, once I blend that out, then I decided to go in with the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. I haven't used this concealer in a while, but it's one of the concealers that I always keep in my kit. I don't know, I just always have it. I feel like it works on pretty much everyone. It's not my favorite concealer, but it's just one that never really does me wrong. Like it just always works. and I think I used shade NC25 and mixed in a little bit of NC35. But what I like about this concealer is it's a very thin consistency, but it has a lot of pigmentation. So it never looks cakey underneath the eye because, like I said, it's very thin, so you don't need a lot of it. And I do find this concealer, by the way, works really well on mature skin. Like, it doesn't really settle into lines. But yeah, I hadn't used it in a while, and I've been really using my Dose of Colors concealer on everyone, so I decided to pick up my NC25 Pro Longwear concealer because I feel like that's like my most used shade, and I decided to use it on her just because I didn't want something too heavy. To cream contour, I'm just using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Stick Foundations. I love these for cream contouring because they blend out like a dream. They're just super easy to blend out. So I use these a lot to cream contour. And what I like about these, especially when I use the Face Atelier foundation, is that these cream products actually have coverage to them because they are actually foundations. Where some cream contouring products don't have coverage. They are just like a pigmented cream, but they don't actually cover, like they wouldn't cover acne or anything like that. But when I use the Face Atelier foundation, because it is more of like a medium coverage, can even be light coverage depending on how you apply it, I like to go in with an actual cream foundation to highlight and contour because it just adds a little extra coverage on the face. Like I said, the Face Atelier foundation, it's beautiful, but it is more of like a lighter coverage foundation in my opinion. So I just like to use a actual cream foundation just to add a little extra coverage to the face. So yeah, I just cream contoured the whole face, added a little bit of highlight, but not too much because we already went in with concealer and everything. And then I'm just going to blend that out. Once that is all blended out, I'm going to make sure the under eyes are super blended and that nothing is creasing. And then I'm going to set that with the, I think I use the ABH loose setting powder, just the translucent one. This is a very finely milled powder. And I feel like it works really well for oily skin. So that's why I use it. But yeah, I'm just using that underneath the eyes and on the center of the face to bake her a little bit, just to really lock everything in and soak up any oils. While that's sitting, I'm going to take my Maybelline Loose Fit Me powder, and I think I use shade Deep just to kind of set the contoured areas and make sure that I set them down. That way when I go in with bronzer, it's not going to be patchy. If you ever find your bronzer is going on really patchy, either on yourself or a client, make sure you're actually setting that area of your face with a powder before you go in with the bronzer, because what's probably happening is the bronzer's catching on to any like moist areas on the skin that weren't set down, and that's why it's looking patchy. So I'm just dusting away that powder after letting it sit for like, I don't know, probably just a few minutes. And also kind of like pressing it into the skin at the same time. Then I'm taking the Kylie Cosmetics bronzer in Toasty, and I ended up actually going in also with this Lorac face powder. It's in the shade Deep. I use it as a bronzer sometimes, but it has more of like an orangey tone. It's very similar to MAC Give Me Sun. And I just kind of wanted to add a little bit more of warmth to the skin, which is why I went in with that. It is a baked powder, so it's a little bit more luminous. It's not super matte, and it just looks really good on the skin. So I topped off the Kylie bronzer with that, and then I went in with some of the like warm orangey shades from this Morphe blush palette for her blush. Then I'm just going in with the Dior Backstage highlighter. I think I was just using the gold shade. Unfortunately, you can't really tell on the camera, but I probably should have turned her so you can actually see the highlight, but I didn't. So yeah, I just applied a little bit of that, not too much because she is, like I said, more on the oily side, so I didn't want to make her like super shiny. And then once I did that, then I'm moving on to the lower lash line. So I just took a couple of the browns that I use in the crease and just running that along the lower lash line. I'm just taking one of the lighter browns and just blending out that darker brown with a fluffier brush. I always like to go in with like a flat definer brush first and then go in with a bigger brush just to blend everything out. Then I added a little bit of an inner corner highlight. I don't remember what I used. I think I just took like some random like champagne colored eyeshadow for the inner corner highlight. And then I decided to use a little bit of brown liner just on the very outer corner of the eye. I don't even think I went inside the eye. Yeah, no, I kind of kept it on the lash line, just on the outer corner, just to deepen it up a little bit and make it just a little bit more intense. Then I'm just taking some mascara on a disposable mascara wand. I just use the Benefit They're Real. I really like Benefit mascaras. I feel like they're really long lasting. They don't really smudge or anything like that. I don't believe this is waterproof, so I wouldn't use it on a bride, but I pretty much will use it on anyone else. Like if they're going to an event where they're not going to be crying, then I'll use that. But if I'm doing makeup for a wedding, then I always use waterproof just in case. And then I applied some lashes, and I'm just squeezing them together with this mini lash curler that I got on Amazon, just so they mesh with her natural lashes. And then for lips, I'm using Morphe Bite Me lip liner, which is one of my personal favorites, but I do use it a lot on clients as well, although I lost mine, so I need to order a new one. But yeah, it's just a nice brown shade, and then I went in with Dose of Colors Truffle Liquid Lip, and then I topped it off with a random like L'Oreal gloss that I have. It's just kind of it's like kind of like a clear with like a little bit of gold shimmer, and that's it for the lips. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to also follow me on Instagram. All that info will be down below, and follow Vanessa as well. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.